The May inflation numbers are out, and it's not good. And it's honestly going to get worse from here. You see, the Federal Reserve's preferred measure of inflation climbed to its highest level in 3 years this last May. This is a fresh sign that the price pressures unleashed by this year's energy shock are still working their way through the economy, and a warning that American shoppers and the housing market may both feel the strain in the coming months. Now, the core personal expenditures price index, which strips out volatile prices from food and energy. Now, think about that, because that's the worst right now, right? Well, just that rose 0.3% for the month and 3.4% from a year earlier. That's not even including food and energy costs. This came out from the Commerce Department on Thursday, today. That annual reading is the hottest since October of 2023, and it matched what economists had been expecting. The headline PCE index, which also includes everything, it ran even hotter at 4.1% over the past year, and this number is the highest since April of 2023, after rising 0.4% in May alone. Now, the numbers land a little more than a week after the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, who took over from Jerome Powell late May. Remember, Trump wanted him because he's going to lower rates. You can't lower rates when this kind of stuff is happening. You can only get ready for the outcome of this inflation. But anyway, sorry, I digress. He used his first policy meeting to deliver a very blunt message. He said the central bank intends to drag inflation back to the 2% target after missing it 5 years running. That means they're not lowering rates. Officials dropped earlier hints of a rate cut this year, and they have left the door open for a rate hike instead. Much of this year's surge traces back to the war in Iran, which sent oil and gasoline prices soaring and left drivers paying the most at the pump in 3 years. Energy-related goods and services jumped about 4% in May, which is the single largest source of price gains. There is a glimmer of relief, though, right, in the latest readings, though. Crude prices have since tumbled roughly about 35% from their recent peaks as hopes grow that the Strait of Hormuz, the choke point that handles a fifth of the world's oil, will stay open. Now, several economists said May mark the peak of inflation wave. I am saying right now, I do not believe that is the case, because we have food being delivered to the grocery stores that are now reflecting the higher prices, and those prices are going to rise. We're going to see those numbers come out in June and July. On top of that, what economists are not telling you, because they probably don't know their tail from the hole in the wall, is that we have a situation where we have a food shortage coming because a lot of farmers were unable to plant as much as possible because of the urea and fertilizer shortage because of this, okay? Now, for now, the economy looks sturdy, the pros are saying. I do not believe you're seeing that, because they're saying consumer spending rose 0.7% in May, beating forecast. But what people don't tell you, or the economists don't tell you, they're spending more because things cost more, okay? It's not like they're spending more, they're not making more. They may be spending more of what they make because items are costing more. And that is something that people don't understand. It's like gross domestic product. Oh, it's doing great, because most of the gross domestic product is made up of government spending. Okay, so that's not a real way of exposing or teaching people how healthy the economy is. All right. So now let's talk about a catch. And before we do, I'm going to let you know, link down below if you want to be part of the Creative Mortgage Financing Program. If you want to learn how to do all these crazy mortgages, as mortgages are actually getting nutball right now, to borrow money, to make money during this crash. Also, thank you to everyone that's been hitting the subscribe button. So here's the catch, buried in the strong headline numbers. Consumers, they're still spending. That's true. They are, but they are spending more to buy the same amount, like I said. And that math eventually breaks, right? Because they're not going to Disneyland. Disneyland numbers are actually down right now. I went personally to SeaWorld the other day. I'm not joking. There was less than 500 people in the entire park. There was nobody there. It was a ghost town. So You have to look at how households are dealing with this. You see, households observe this hit first by leaning on their savings, right? They start to spend some of it. And their personal savings rate has already thinned to just 3%, which is leaving a much smaller cushion for them to fall back on. They lean next on credit cards, which only works until the bills come due. And once those buffers run out, people start making choices, skipping the restaurant meal, delaying the new appliance, or holding on to the old car for another year. And we're going to see those numbers coming out in quarterly earnings from auto manufacturers, restaurant chains, and things like that. You see, economists call this demand destruction, and it tends to arrive with a lag. And I believe you're going to see that lag coming out in numbers this summer, and that is going to drag the stock market lower. So you see, the danger now is that the inflation has broadened beyond the gas pumps into services like everyday staples, the kinds of costs that families cannot easily cut. And when the unavoidable bills swallow more of the budget, the discretionary spending that powers a huge share of the economy is what gives way. So this is why it's going to affect real estate. The more people have to spend on everyday goods, the less they have towards a real estate payment. So they're no longer looking to buy their first home because they are barely making it in their rental. People that want to sell their home and move up cannot afford the payments because not only is the insurance insane, the interest rates are insane, and all that kind of stuff on the mortgage. They're sitting there over there going, hey, our budget's dwindling. We don't have the money to keep this going. So the point is, this Kevin Walsh, as Trump was touting, is going to lower rates and everything's going to be great. He can't. He absolutely can't. If the Fed lowers rates, they will induce a hyperinflation. It's absolutely impossible. You are going to see the Fed raise rates this year unless the 10-year bond keeps rising. But now you're starting to see, this is an interesting quandary because as people are starting to get fearful and they're dropping the rates on the 10-year bond because people are buying up bonds, the Fed's going to have to raise rates because they're going, crap, interest rates are going down. We don't want them borrowing too much money and blowing it like drunken sailors. So they're going to raise rates. You're going to see this happen, and get ready because this summer is going to be a hot one for the news cycle. Thank you everyone that's been hitting the subscribe button because this is my real estate channel, totally different than the main channel. Appreciate you guys and ladies. With that being said, the Real Estate Ninja is out.